And you are?
My name's Wyatt.
Dave Baker. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Oh, here he comes.
Is that the fearless leader right there I see coming in?
Poor guy.
All right, help me out here. How to get the thing
Not
going.
doing well.
This is all pulled up already. I'm not too sure.
Come up. Board meeting. You going to see the legislature down
I watch it sometimes.
on YouTube? Good for you. Kind of embarrassing sometimes.
It's important to know what's going on.
Well, no, the best thing they do, they wait until they do the budget and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They wait till 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Kick all the press out, turn the cameras off on the microphones, and they bring all these terrible bills in, bundles in. Sometimes we'll tell them, oh, shoot, just and you guys got to change it, because if you don't have this spot.
Yeah.
I think we're ready whenever you are, Justin.
All right, we'll go ahead and call to order the Salina Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Thursday, December 18th, 2025. Can staff confirm that the Kansas Open Meetings Act notice has been properly provided?
Yes, I can confirm that the packet was posted and the required notice was provided.
All right, can we go ahead with a roll call?
Board Member Tro,
Here.
Board Member Hardy,
Here.
Board Member Baker,
Here.
Board Member Bowden,
Here.
perfect, Youth Member Angel,
Here.
Board Member Creer, Board Member Meixell, and Chair Owens.
Here.
So with 5 out of 7 appointed members, we have quorum and we can proceed with business.
First order of business is approval of minutes from November 20th, 2025. Is there any discussion or any suggested changes?
I move that we approve the minutes of the October 22, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
Have it moved and seconded to approve the minutes. We take all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those
Aye.
opposed say sign. It's passed. Moving on to new business, and we are going to move forward to item 3.2, correct?
Yes, we can do that. All right, so this item 3.2 is variance application 25-9, which has been filed by Johnny Adam, who's an architect on behalf of Trace and Cynthia Walker. And the subject of the variance request is 1905 Springer Court, which is shown on the screen and being highlighted by the cursor run by Mr. Michelson. The zoning of the property, it's a planned development district with an R1 single-family residential underlying zoning, which requires a 25-foot rear yard setback for all principal structures. In this case, the Walkers are proposing to construct a 14 by 16 two-story addition at the rear of their residential dwelling, and the location of the addition is the we'll call it the northwest corner of the house. So if you look at the floor plan, there is a kitchen and breakfast area. Zoom in a little bit, that the Walkers are looking to do an addition to for a sunroom, and the location of the sunroom off of the kitchen is dependent on the location of the kitchen for obvious reasons. And so the areas of the property in which the addition could be constructed is limited to off the kitchen for an addition off the kitchen. And so the River Run addition, which is the subdivision in which this property is located, was originally platted in 2003. The Walker's residence was constructed in 2005, and the lot is a little over 15,000 square feet, so about a third of an acre. The surrounding area, there is a residential dwelling to the south and to the north, and which we'll pull up here on the aerial. And those are the adjacent properties that have existing structures or improvements on them that are adjacent to the Walker's property. There was also 2 vacant lots directly to the east that the Walkers both own, and then there is a common area that is to the west that the property butts up to on the rear, that has kind of a ridge line that drops off and goes down into the Smoky Hill River. So there is a common area that is shared by the members of the River Run Addition, people that live in the neighborhood. The applicant's specific request is a variance of 14 feet to go from a 25-foot rear yard setback down to 11 feet. So the proposed setback would leave the Walkers with 11 feet roughly between the proposed addition and the west property line. And so when we look at the criteria for a variance application, the first criteria that we look at is uniqueness of the property. In this case, the applicant states the property is unique due to the irregular rear property line. It runs kind of at an angle with the property. So if you see the black bold line, that's the rear property line, and you can see the relationship of the rear property line in relationship to the existing dwelling. So while most houses are rectangular lots with rectangular structures that run parallel to each other, here we have a situation where we have a little bit irregular situation with different angles. The rear lot line follows the tree line and the natural alignment of the Smoky Hill River, and the northwest corner of the existing dwelling is physically constrained by the rear yard setback, and these conditions limit the feasible locations for an addition. So again, the kitchen area, which is where the Walkers are trying to do an addition to, is located in the southwest corner of the house of the dwelling, and so that's where the addition would have to be in order to do an addition to the kitchen. Staff would agree that the lot is atypical, especially compared to most residential lots, and the home's location on a ridge overlooking an undeveloped woodland is a site-specific condition. Most properties in Salina don't have a ridge that overlooks the river with a common area behind them. Most residential dwellings have another residential dwelling on their rear that they share or butt up against. And so staff finds this the uniqueness to this property to be a unique standard for the board to consider. And looking at the adverse effects on the neighboring properties, the applicant states that the addition will not block the light, air, or views, and the project will not interfere with the access to the River Run trail system, because there is a trail system in the common area to the west, and the adjacent homes are oriented in opposing angles, which increases the separation of the property or the proposed addition from the adjacent properties. If we can go to the aerial photo again, Dustin, we can kind of highlight that a little bit, what is being suggested there. So where the proposed addition would be, if you look at the distance from the property to the neighboring property to the south, there's about 65 feet, a little over 65 feet from that addition because of the way that the structures angle away from each other. And there's about 145 feet or maybe a little more to the residential dwelling to the north. And looking at unnecessary hardship, staff's analysis, staff would agree that the impact of the proposed addition is localized to the subject property as well as the properties to the north and south. You won't really see it from the east, and then the west, there's a wooded common area. And visibility is limited, again, to the north and south, and staff finds no material adverse effects on the neighboring properties. And looking at unnecessary hardship, the applicant states that the existing floor plan restricts the feasible expansion areas and that alternate locations are impractical because you can't add to the kitchen unless you're adjacent to the kitchen, and that the addition provides functional living space as well as a spare bedroom on the level below the kitchen. And then without the variance, the addition cannot be reasonably be constructed. Staff would agree that the strict application of the required 25-foot setback would prohibit the proposed addition, and that the adjacent land to the west is undevelopable, which reduces the risk of the setback's functional purpose. And for that reason, staff finds an unnecessary hardship could exist if the strict application of the 25-foot setback was enforced on this property. And looking at the effect of the public safety and welfare, the applicant states that the addition will not create any traffic hazards. There will be no visible obstructions or any right-of-way encroachments, and that adequate space would remain for access to the site and maintenance of the property, and that the design is architecturally compatible with the existing home. If we want to look at the elevation drawings, Dustin, just to show what is being proposed. So part of the exterior of the existing dwelling has a shake shingle design to it, and as part of the proposed addition, the exterior of the addition would match the existing exterior of the home. So this is basically the northeast side. If we can go scroll down another one, here's a better look. So on the top right, the bottom left and top right, that would be the rear addition that's being proposed with all the glass windows for the sunroom. So you'd have a sunroom that has glass windows surrounding it, and then you'd have the shake shingle siding on the exterior of the walls, and then a matching roof shingle there that would match the existing. In looking at the staff would agree that it does appear that it is cohesive with the existing structure, and that the proposed addition would not add any additional fire risk, flooding, or safety concerns. And the project also does not impact any public infrastructure from a public health or safety standpoint. Looking at the conformity with the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance, the applicant states that the addition maintains the residential character of the existing neighborhood, and the property remains in compliance with all other zoning requirements and standards, and that the open space to the rear is preserved due to the permanent undevelopable land, and that the approval would improve functionality of the property value within the neighborhood. Staff would agree that the rear setbacks are intended, or we would note rather, that the rear setbacks are intended to preserve open space, reduce fire risk, and allow light and air movement. And these purposes are still met due to the adjacent open space. If you were to go out there after the addition, you would not be able to tell that it encroaches into the rear yard setback area because there's no discernible evidence of where the rear yard setback is. There aren't any fences, there aren't any other structures that you are visibly perceivingly getting closer to, because it's just open space and trees along with the ridge line there of the kind of the ridge. And so staff finds the request to be consistent with the spirit and intent of the ordinance. So with that, the board does have the following options. You could approve the variance as requested with or without any conditions that you might have for the proposal. You could approve a lesser variance with or without conditions. You could continue and postpone this item to another meeting if additional information is needed for you to make a decision, in which case you would set a specific date to postpone the meeting to. Or you could deny the variance if the sufficient findings of fact cannot be made. And so what we have done as staff is we do have findings at your seat for both approving the variance or denying the variance, and we are open to any questions that we could answer about the application, and the applicant is here to speak as well.
All right.
Oh, yep, I do have additional public comment to share. So at your seat, there is a letter that was written from the property owners that are to the south, and it reads, "We are the nearest neighbors. Our home is 1900 Springer Court. The Walker's home is lot 19, block 2 of the River Run addition." So they're located directly south. The River Run is a master plan community. Our home and the Walker's home are part of 6 homes in a row that are all villa lots and villa homes. All of the villas were limited to 3 specific craftsman style designs and nearly identical size and shape and proportion to their lot. Those who desired larger homes were required to build them on larger estate lots rather than on the villa lots. While we would be open to a request for a variance for a few feet, we oppose a request of this magnitude, where the whole proposed construction requires such a large variance. The end result would be inconsistent with the charming, uniform villa neighborhood appearance. And to add to that, Mr. Dan Gard and Ann Gard came in and spoke with staff yesterday with a few additional notes that we've jotted down. And one of their concerns is that because this is an addition to the kitchen area, and that the kitchen area is one of the more likely rooms in their estimation to catch fire, that it potentially could increase or decrease fire safety in the neighborhood if a fire were to catch fire in the kitchen and then spread to the new addition, and then spread to the trees. The other another idea that they had, or another thought that they were concerned about rather, was that they believe that because this is a planned development district with a homogeneous design, that the proposed addition could create a conflict or harm the homogeneous design of the villa lots and villa developments. And they're also concerned about drainage, adding additional rooftop space. Here we have a 14 by 16, which is a little over 200 square feet. Adding that additional impervious area could increase additional water runoff and potentially create additional erosion on the ridge line to the west. And see if I can find other. I think those are the main concerns. Is there anything else that you would note, Gage, from our conversation?
No. I think in meeting with the guards, their main concerns were addressed either in the letter, just about the general nature of the villa lots, or in the comments that Mr. Hers provided about fire safety and drainage concerns. So,
yeah, and the concern of the homogeny, staff explained to the guards, is that this development has a homeowners association that has review of architectural standards, and it's their responsibility and not staff's or the board's to control whatever design characteristics are required in the River Run addition.
and just for the sake of the fire safety question, so there is a fire hydrant located in that middle island strip, so like where you drive in the half circle around, right where Dustin's cursor is, there is a fire hydrant there. And so even with the increased distance of the addition, the fire department would still have enough distance to reach the back of the home where the new addition would be located. So,
Are there any questions from the board for staff?
Do you know if the plans were brought before the homeowners association and given approval by that group?
We don't know that. We don't know if that's gone through that review process or not.
when we get to the point where the project architect is on Zoom, and so Mr. Adam might be able to touch on that piece.
Okay.
Other questions for staff?
Would he be available to do that now? Is that a good time or some other time?
Yeah, once we're done with staff questions,
Okay.
then we can move on to the applicant's
All right.
questions for the applicant and their response.
I would really like to know that.
I guess we'll open questions up for the applicant. And Mr. Adams, can you answer that question from earlier?
Just to clarify, we have someone on Zoom that they're using their phone number, so I don't have a name, and we assumed that was maybe Mr. Adam. But we don't have a name, it's just their phone number. It sounds like they're calling in, or it looks like they're calling in.
We do have the Walkers here with us. They might be able to answer that as well.
Would you be able to address that question of whether the homeowners association has reviewed? Can you please stand up to the podium? Yeah.
Never done this before, but I'm Cindy Walker, and I assume Johnny has done that because he is part of the homeowners. He represents the homeowners, the architect that is hired by the association. Yeah. So but I can't say yes or no.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I think it would be appropriate to have that architect come in at this time if he's available.
I think they're working to identify.
I think the architect or the homeowners association is probably a significant part of the discussion. Would be my guess.
They're the one that should have a say, so.
If we are unable to get in touch with the architect on behalf of the applicant to answer that question, and it's a critical question, you would have the option to postpone to a later hearing date to gather that information if that's critical information you need to make a decision.
That would probably be the way to go.
It is Mr. Adam online.
He said that he's online or trying to reach now or trying to call in.
He's on, but I've asked him to unmute, but he can speak at whatever time, at whatever point he's ready.
So the question, Johnny, and if you can audibly unmute and share your thoughts, we are welcome to that. If not, you can, in the chat, perhaps you can answer the question. But the question is, have the design plans for the proposed addition been reviewed and approved by the Homeowners Association of River Run?
I just received a text from him that said if the city, if the city approves the variance, the homeowner association will approve.
Okay.
That's.
There's your answer.
Well, that's fine, but in my mind, I think it should be the other way around.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's, I mean, like Dustin said, that's not necessarily our decision on, as
Right.
far as that goes. I mean, ours is based off the zoning, and the issue is the zoning is the setback, and we got to decide whether the setback is allowed, and then they can override that as their own homeowners association if they so choose.
Yeah, just to clarify, your role is to look at the setback, and if the proposed encroachment is, if the reasons and justification for the variance request, if the criteria are not being met, you could deny the proposed variance request. If you feel like the property is truly unique and that there is an unnecessary hardship that the rear yard setback puts on the applicant, and if there aren't any negative impacts to the neighboring properties or the public health safety, and if the general welfare or the general spirit of the required setback, which is to preserve space, is still being maintained, then you would have the option to approve the setback variance. But it's Chair Owens is correct. They're two different reviews. One is kind of an aesthetic review to the development standards of the homeowner association. This particular review is regard to just the rear yard setback.
Is there any discussion?
Well, I would move that we approve application number V25-9 because of the irregularity of the lot and the fact that there are no neighbors on all sides, just to the north and the south.
I second that.
Moved and second to approve.
And my only comment is, I would like to have the homeowners association speak first before we say or do anything. So I will be voting against this.
Have a motion.
Condition?
What's that?
Can we make that a condition for approval?
We make that a condition of the
No.
no. I guess
Real quick, just to clarify, we do not have anybody else from the public online.
it appears to me that our job, they're meeting all the requirements of things that we look at.
Right.
Whatever the homeowners association, that's another subject.
To me, that's a.
But I'll be
that's
voting
a-
in favor of this because it meets everything we need to be looking at.
All right, we got a motion approved and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay?
Motion for item 3.2 is passed.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On item 3.1, our Deputy Director Margie did call the applicant, and she's on Zoom now to give some information.
Hi, everybody. I did call the applicant, Sean Carlin, while you guys were all on 3.2 and gave him a call. He did not know that he needed to be in attendance and hadn't reviewed that email that Daisy had sent him. So he asked for continuation to the next meeting on January 15th of 2026. I have provided him that date, the time, and where he needs to be in attendance for the meeting, and has pointed him back to the agenda packet for any review of that.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve to move that agenda item to the next meeting?
Mr. Chair, I move that we now what's the term? That we postpone item 3.1 until our next meeting.
A second.
which is January 15th.
Which is
Yeah.
January
January
15th.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is passed. All right. There are no administrative items on the agenda or any other business, so I guess we'll open up to public forum.
For other business, we will have our annual report that we'll review at our January meeting. We'll also have the postponement of item 3.1 that we'll bring forward again. And there's also an important announcement we'd like to make, and that's that Mr. Michelson is our new planning manager and zoning administrator. So congratulations to him, and we're really excited as a staff to have him continue working with us to move forward and make our planning staff as good as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, Dustin has moved up to the planning manager, zoning administrator role. So we do have a application out for a new planning position to fill Dustin's role. And so hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll be hiring a new member of our team, and we're super excited to continue. So thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to?
We do not have anybody on Zoom
All right.
in public.
And my wife doesn't count.
Doesn't
That's right home.
Yeah, right. All right. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.